There are some keys to being a good base runner at third base. The first key, as with any base that we get to, whether it's first, second, or third, is to pick up our third base coach when he's giving signs. We might not be the only base runner on base. Whether we are or whether we aren't, we have to pick up the third base coach until he claps us off. I then want to pay attention to where my outfielders are stationed. This is going to give me a better opportunity to make a read. Now, if there's less than 2 outs, any ball that goes in the air, I am going to be tagging on. Even a home run, I should be tagging on. I never want to catch myself down the baseline and realize, uh-oh, that ball is going to be caught, and now I got to try to come all the way back and tag and take off. So I have to know where my outfielders are stationed. I also need to know the outs and the situation. My third base coach should give me some cues. He should tell me whether I'm scoring or trying to score on a ball that's hit on a downward angle to the infield, or he's going to give me the cue, you need to see the ball through the infield. That means the infield might be playing halfway or in, and I have to see the ball past them before I try to score. He may also tell me to see the ball down past the pitcher. For the corner infielders might be playing in, the middle infield might be playing back, and I have to react on a ball down once I know it's gotten past the pitcher. If it gets past the pitcher, I have a good chance of scoring. The type of lead we take at third base is called a walking lead. And where we want to start, or how far we want to get off the base before we take our walking lead, is going to be determined by the pitcher, whether he's in a windup or the stretch. If a pitcher's in a windup, it's going to take him a little extra time to go through his delivery to deliver the pitch to the plate. Therefore, I don't want to start as far off, because as soon as he goes into his windup, I'm going to turn and start walking to the plate. If I happen to start too far off the base initially and then turn and walk throughout his windup, I'm going to be too far down the line, and the catcher is going to have an easy attempt to pick me off. If the pitcher is going from his stretch, it typically doesn't take him very long once he comes from his set position to deliver a pitch to the plate. So I have to start a little bit further off the base before I turn and walk. One important key to a base runner at third base is to make sure we start in foul territory. If we start in foul territory, whether we're getting our initial lead before we walk, or even when we're starting our walking lead to the plate, and the batter hits a ball that makes contact with us, if we are in foul territory, that is no problem. However, if we are in fair territory and get hit with a batted ball, we are out. So we want to make sure that we take our lead in foul territory. Once the catcher receives the ball, we want to come back to the base in fair territory. This is going to put ourselves in a better situation to not be picked off by the catcher. We are not going to worry about third basemen who want to try to hold us on like a first baseman. Their job when holding runners is to not come over to the base like a first baseman. It's to stay in their normal position, whether they're in or back, and if a move is going to be made, it's going to be a timing move. My primary distance away from the base is not going to be that far at third base. So if he wants to hold me on, more power to him. It's not going to affect what I'm doing. So if a pitcher's going from the windup, I'm going to turn, and I have 5 steps where I'm going to walk to the plate and I'm going to land planted on my right foot. It's going to look as follows. I stay relaxed and I'm watching the pitcher. Once I know he commits to the plate in his windup, I turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. About that time, the ball is going to be crossing the imaginary strike zone of the hitter. My weight's going to be on my right foot. If contact is made down and I was told to go on contact down, I'm in a situation to go. If I was told to see it through the infield and I see contact down, I'm waiting to see if the ball gets through the infield. If the ball is hit on a line, I freeze. And if a ball is hit in the air anywhere to the outfield, I'm going back to tag. If the ball is caught by the catcher, I'm going to come back, I'm going to plant off my right foot and come back in fair territory, keeping my head up and get back to the base. I do not want to be lazy getting back to third base. If the pitcher is going from the stretch, I have to get a little more initial lead, and then I'm going to take 3 steps on my walking lead. On this particular field, I would probably get 4 or 5 steps off on my primary lead, and I'm standing here relaxed. I still don't mind. If this third baseman wants to come over for whatever reason and hold me on like a first baseman, it doesn't matter, because I'm watching the pitcher like a hawk. And if he's going from the stretch, I know the only move he really has is 1, he can step off the back, or 2, he can act like a left-handed pitcher and come over and throw. So I'm going to make sure that he's committed to the plate. And once I know he's committed, I'm just simply going to turn and walk 3 steps and land on my right foot once again. 1, 2, 3. Right then, the ball should be crossing the plate. Again, I make my reads based on the cues that were given to me by my third base coach. Where do I practice these? I practice them in practice. Again, during BP, you should have your team at every station. You should have a group that works around the bases while one team is hitting and the other team is playing defense and taking fungos, and they rotate through. And you're going to give cues to the guys on third base to read the ball down, to see it past the pitcher, to see it through the infield, whatever it may be. That's where they get used to making a good reaction at third base. One thing we don't want to do is ever cost our team an out and a run because we didn't tag up properly. When we get back to the base, we should be able to see the ball. And of course, our third base coach is communicating with us as well. What I like to have my guys do is I like to have them stay tall on the base. Now they can see what's happening. If the ball is deep down the left field line, they can possibly turn this way to get a better look at it. But 9 times out of 10, the ball's right out here where we can see it. Okay, we're opened up. Now as the catch is being made, I want to lower my center of gravity down to make sure that I'm staying on the base and take that extra split second before I push off to the plate. Because so many young players are anxious to score, if they don't drop and then go, a lot of times they will push off prematurely in an attempt to give themselves the best chance to score, and all of a sudden now they've created separation, and by our sit and push as the ball is being caught, we create a little extra momentum and we take a little extra split second to make sure that we don't leave early. Whenever I head to the plate, whether it's leaving on contact or tagging up on a fly ball or scoring from second or possibly even scoring from first, I don't have a base coach at the plate. The only person I have to tell me what to do is my on-deck hitter, and it's his responsibility to be there right in front of me to let me know whether I can stand up, whether I need to get down, whether I need to slide to the inside or to the outside as I'm coming to the plate. So make sure you pay attention to your on-deck hitter. And when you are an on-deck hitter, take pride in helping your base runner make a good decision as he crosses the plate. I encourage you to get into the book once again and read about all the offensive plays that can take place, whether you're at first, second, or third. There's a number of different things that your team can do to try to score runs and put pressure on the defense. Dig deep into the manual and pay attention to what your responsibilities are on all these plays. It's pretty easy to straight steal home. If your base runner executes his responsibility, the hitter executes his responsibility, then the play has a great chance of being successful. Is it dangerous? It's only dangerous if the hitter doesn't do his job. You need to make sure that the coach, when he gives the sign to straight steal home, that the batter picks it up And we are also going to give a verbal, that is something that the base runner is going to say as he's stealing home to let that hitter know, here I come. Because the last thing we want him to do is swing and hit a pitch and drive it down our base runner's throat and injure him or really hurt him bad because the ball was struck or batted into our base runner stealing home. We only straight steal home off a pitcher that goes from the windup. We can do it off right-handers or left-handers. It's a little easier to be successful off a left-handed pitcher going from the windup because he has to turn his back to the base runner at third. Oftentimes, pitchers don't pay attention at all to the runners at third base when they're going from the windup. And a lot of coaches will tell pitchers, pitch however you're comfortable with a runner on third. If you're more comfortable, go from the windup. 9 times out of 10, that's exactly what they'll do. They'll go from the windup. Or with 2 outs, 9 out of 10 pitchers are going to go from the windup with a runner on third base. If you have a weak hitter or you're able to get this play executed correctly, you can score an easy run. Here's how you do it. It's a matter of math. My job is to get 7 to 8 strides off of third base. That's about 24 feet to home plate. That leaves 66 feet. 66 feet, which is a little more than 20 yards. 20 yards. That's it. That's all I got to go if I can get to the right spot. Pitchers in their windup oftentimes will take 3 seconds. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, some even 4 seconds to deliver the ball to the plate. If I can't run a little over 20 yards by the time the pitcher takes 4 seconds to deliver a pitch to the plate, then there's something wrong. The key is making sure that I get down the baseline far enough before the pitcher starts into the windup. You have to be willing to take a chance and you have to practice it. You can't wait until the pitcher toes in to the rubber to start walking. We got to be early. So when the pitcher catches the ball after the prior pitch back from the catcher and he's starting to walk up onto the mound, I'm just casually going to start walking. If he happens to look at me, I freeze and then I start walking again. If I can get 8 strides, which is 3 feet per stride, down the line before he starts his rocker step, I am gone. And I want to make sure that I stay on the inside of the baseline so that I do not have to cross. My goal is going to be to slide to the infield side of home plate with my right hand out, head first. Now when I decide to take off home, I got to make sure my hitter doesn't have 2 strikes on him. And I'm also going to be screaming, bingo, 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 or anything you want. But bingo tells the hitter, here I come, and his job is to swing high and late at the pitch. This is going to keep the catcher back. Most of the time, when a catcher sees a base runner barreling down the line, what goes through their mind is squeeze. Most catchers have never seen a base runner straight steal home. So they're going to be anxious to get out in front of that plate because they're expecting the bunt to take place. Now by rule, they can't cross in front of the plate until the ball crosses the plate. But because our hitter is swinging high and late, not ridiculously late, but just high and late, that forces that catcher to stay back. And if he decides to come jumping out early and we make contact, that's catcher's interference, dead ball. I go back to third and the hitter goes to first. Now we're in a first and third situation. But more times than not, the hitter is just going to swing through high and late. I'm going to slide to the infield side head first, safe, and we are going to have some huge momentum. Absolutely huge momentum in this ball game because it is humiliating to the opposing team to give up a run so easily. Walking, start walking, start walking, start walking. Go, come on. Bingo, bingo, bingo.